How's it going? And welcome back to Chasing Victory with Ben Ballion and Jason Lee. I'm Ben Ballion and that's Jason Lee. Today we have an NFL Championship weekend preview. Jason, how's it going?
Go well, Ben. It is finally Championship Sunday. We're in the home stretch. Super Bowl Sunday's 2 weeks. It's going to be a competitive weekend for sure.
It's going to be a couple good games. We'll start with the NFC Championship and then move to the later game, the Bills and the Chiefs, which is a highly anticipated game. We'll get to that later. Let's start first with Jaden Daniels' Commanders going into Philadelphia, the hated city of Philadelphia, to take on a dinged up Jalen Hurts and his Eagles squad. Jason, who's your pick?
It's tough, man, considering the way that Washington Commanders have played. The Road Warriors 2 times in a row. They knocked out Tampa. They not destroyed the Lions last week. It was insane. And I said the problem was the secondary. And the secondary had something like, what, 5 turnovers just casually?
Yeah, just a
I don't know. Just a little,
casual four interceptions,
yeah,
seven,
casual 4 interceptions,
forced a fumble. No
right?
big deal though. It's
Yeah, and typical day at the office. But, I just cannot bet against the Eagles, man. I just can't bet against the crowd, the atmosphere. I just can't get bet against Saquon Barkley. I'm sorry. Like, even though Washington did win at least one of the games, Saquon still had 150 yards and 2 touchdowns at the end of the day. Saquon had an amazing stat line in the first time they met up this season, and they won. But here's the problem. Is Jalen Hurts a little banged up? Yes. But Jalen Hurts losing a little bit of that mobility allows for Saquon to get more carries and allows for the pass game to open up. We haven't seen that in a while with Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles offense with Kellen Moore at the helm. We haven't seen that often. We see that a couple times, but guys like A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, they're not stepping up as fast as they should, or mainly as like we usually see them play. Like, Philly gave up a first-round pick for A.J. Brown. That's not the A.J. Brown we've seen in the playoffs, but I feel like having Jalen Hurts banged up is like is a positive and a negative. Negative is he's strong on the run and he can't really do that. But this allows him to open up the pass game. This allows A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith to get involved, and I feel like the Eagles can just push away with the victory.
you talk about Jalen Hurts being a blessing in disguise almost. I just flat out don't see where you're coming from with that one. I mean, the fact of the matter is he doesn't throw the ball well enough to win the Eagles a Super Bowl. We saw he had a really good showing in the Super Bowl a couple years back, but in the regular season and then in the playoffs and throughout his career, he's not a good enough thrower to lead an NFL team to the Super Bowl. And that's where I'm going to pick the Washington Commanders. I think going on the road for the third week in a row, you mentioned it already, they went into Tampa, they beat the Bucks in a good game, they marched into Detroit and absolutely beat the brakes off of Jared Goff and the Lions. What's stopping them here? I mean, I think the Lions were the better team. I know they didn't play like it, but I think the Eagles and the Lions were the top two teams in the NFC. Everybody knew it coming into the playoffs. And here we go. NFC Championship. The Commanders already knocked off the Lions. Now it's time to face the Eagles. See who the better team out of the two of them is. But Jalen Hurts, getting back to that, he's not good enough when he can't run the ball. And I get they're gonna have to limit Saquon Barkley because he's Saquon Barkley, all right. And he looked better than ever in that Los Angeles Rams game. So I'm very conflicted on this one. Usually making predictions doesn't take me too long to do. But this one it took me a good 6-7 minutes to really think about who I think is gonna win.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, considering the way Washington has just come out of nowhere and Dan Quinn just magically led a team to the NFC Championship game again. But I don't know what it is with Washington. I don't know. Like, the offense is pretty solid. Like, they've shown that time and time
The
again.
offense is more than solid.
Yeah, but like going against this Eagles defense is ridiculous.
Yeah, they're real good.
The Washington Commanders O line is a little shaky. Like, Jaden Daniels has more reason to run because the offensive line is he ran a lot last game against Detroit. He ran a lot against Tampa. But I feel like guys like Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis up the middle are going to be like a problem for the interior O-line of the Commanders on Sunday. Like, you know, I don't know. I mean, Jaden Daniels, is he going to have a good rushing game? Sure, he's going to have a decent rushing game. He's had decent rushing games all season. But I just feel like the Eagles defense is the youngest defense, the best defense. Vic Fangio has come in and turned this ship around. And I feel like just the young guys are going to step up. And I think Cooper DeJean finally will get an interception. There's my call. Cooper DeJean will get an interception, the one he deserves on Sunday.
I could see it. I mean, Jaden Daniels, rather, he has stepped up to the plate on every challenge that he's been tasked with handling. He stepped up against the Bucs. He led a Commanders team that wasn't supposed to be that good to the NFC Championship, the National Football Conference Championship game. I don't see why his incredible play, his ridiculous rookie season, his all around just his aura, his mystique, the way he carries himself, he is not peppered by any challenge. He has been able to take everything on. He's been able to do it with ease, and he's been able to lead the Washington Commanders. He's been able to lead the way. He has been a leader of men these past couple weeks and throughout this playoff run. And frankly, throughout this whole season for the Washington Commanders. Jaden Daniels is attempting to do something that no rookie quarterback has ever done. No rookie quarterback has ever won a Super Bowl. Jaden Daniels is 2 wins away from it. We saw a couple of years ago, Brock Purdy took the Niners there. But at the end of the day, the Niners weren't going to win that Super Bowl. If the Commanders can get to the Super Bowl, I think it's a different story. And they have a chance of knocking off the Chiefs or the Bills. We'll see who I take later in the episode. But if they get to the Super Bowl, Jaden Daniels has as good a chance as anyone. And I mentioned it last episode, but I'll mention it again. The Washington Commanders are a team of magic. They're the team that finds a way to win. They might not be the most talented. They might not be favored, but they will find a way to win, and they'll find a way to do it in style. Both these teams love to play close games. They love to go to the fourth quarter in tight games. So at the end of the day, I think this game is going to come down to the fourth quarter. The spread is set at 6.5. I think a field goal decides this game. But it's going to be who wants it more in the fourth quarter. And you know that. And everybody knows that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of the NFC Championship game in this situation. It's going to definitely be down. I would say, even to your point, even the last like 3-4 minutes of this game is
Yeah,
what it's
100%.
down to. But I just feel like the high-powered Commanders offense, this whole new school playbook with Cliff Kingsbury that he has drawn up, I'm surprised he does not have a head coaching gig or interview this offseason. I am shocked. I'm amazed that Washington is most likely going to successfully hold on to this guy for another year. But I feel like Vic Fangio's defense, he is a very old school defense that, and it works. Like, all these young guys come to play on the secondary, there's pretty much no problem on the Eagles defense. There's no reason they shouldn't stop the Commanders offense. It's a pass-heavy offense at the end of the day. They don't really, compared to the Eagles, the difference is night and day in the run game. The Eagles run about like 75% of the time, and that's really going to be the problem. And they held Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, he got over 100 yards, but it's not the same Jahmyr Gibbs we've seen all season. But this is a different beast. This is Saquon Barkley. Here we go. Offensive player of the year. And now he's home. He's going to feed off that crowd. Now, if I'm the Commanders' D-line, I would be worried. Flat out. I would be worried about that. And I would be worried about a second thing. Sean Hockley is the official. His officiating crew is 6-1. Or sorry, for that matter, the Eagles are 6-1 when he is the official. He loves the Eagles. And I feel like hometown calls. I feel like there's going to be a lot of hometown calls in this game. And that's just going to prevent the Commanders from winning. I mean, it's not their fault. because of the noise. I get it if someone flinches on the line and it's a false start, but it's going to be a lot of hometown calls. You know, I just think the Eagles are like the better team right now, and as long as AJ Brown and Devontae Smith get more involved, like they should be. Like, where was the Devontae Smith and AJ Brown that are getting 100 yards in a game? We want to see that. If we get that AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, I think that's pretty much a done deal, especially if Saquon Barkley has a Saquon Barkley game over 130 yards or so.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at the weather right now. At game time, which is gonna be at about it's gonna be about 3 o'clock, but we know it's gonna be closer to 3:30. So let's look at it. It's gonna be a balmy 38 degrees. It's gonna be partly cloudy. It's gonna be good weather after a snow game that took place in Philadelphia just this past week. So I think the weather can definitely play a factor in it because I'm not gonna lie, the Eagles' rushing attack definitely benefited off the snow. I mean, the Rams players were just not used to it; they weren't acclimated to it, which it's their fault. I mean, the coaching staff should do a better job at preparing their players for every weather condition. But at the end of the day, they struggled in that. And for the Commanders, they're a team that plays in cold weather. They play in Washington, not much different weather from Philadelphia. So we'll see where if that helps or takes away from Saquon Barkley's rushing game, from Jalen Hurts' rushing attack, from Jaden Daniels' rushing attack. There's a lot of rushing that's going to be going down in Philadelphia this weekend. And I'm sticking with the Commanders, man. I think their story, I think the NFL wants to push that narrative. So I don't know if it's necessarily going to help the Commanders, but it might help to neutralize the referees a little bit. Because at the end of the day, I do think Roger Goodell would rather have an upstart Commanders team in the Super Bowl for the first time in a long time than an Eagles team that has been there a lot recently. So the officiating might be a little bit more lenient towards Washington, but I don't know if that's going to have as huge of an effect as this game as I'm making it out to be.
I mean, I don't know. It's a tough call to think because I'm looking at it. You're right. It is going to be a heavy run attack on both sides of the ball. But here's the thing. The Philadelphia Eagles offensive line is the
Ridiculous.
best offensive line in football. 1,000%. So I feel like and the Commanders' defensive line isn't really that good. Isn't really, yeah, they stepped it up against Detroit, but I feel like the Eagles offensive line is better than the Lions. And I feel like Jalen Hurts, like he got sacked twice, but that was from all out blitzes. So, but like here's the thing:
So the Commanders' game plan is going to be all out blitz. That's how it works. You see what works in previous games. This is why you watch film. So there's no reason. Like it seems like you're discrediting the fact that he got sacked twice, or really brushing it to the side because they're all out blitzes. But that's what Washington's going to come in here and do. That's what Washington's game plan is going to be if they see that worked for the Rams.
It has to be. It's the only way to stop it. Like you get Saquon gets more than one touchdown. I think we have a problem.
Saquon's going to get a touchdown.
No, I'm saying if he gets more than one, he gets the ground game. He gets a bunch of open looks up the field. He makes one cut and he's gone for 20 yards. Like that can't happen.
I don't think that's necessarily the case because they're going to be force feeding him the ball. They're going to look to pass as little as possible. I mean, that's what they've done all season. I don't think Nick Sirianni, I don't think Kellen Moore, I don't think any of those guys trust Jalen Hurts' right arm. So they're going to look to give Saquon Barkley the ball. They're going to look to give their offensive player of the year the ball and get him out in space and get him in space with room to operate. So there's no reason that the Commanders shouldn't win. Or no, that's not true. There's no reason that the Commanders shouldn't be all out blitzing. There's no reason for them to drop back and play some drop coverage and let Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley pulverize them in the rushing game.
Yeah, I mean, like that's all really Philly's got. That's their weapon. That's their weapon of attack. Like that's what they've done all season, and for about 95% of the time, it works. No one seems to stop Saquon Barkley. I mean, he came to this organization, and then like I don't know what happened after week 4, things just sparked, and they won like 10 straight. Saquon looks like an MVP. He's nominated for MVP, but I feel like I don't know. This game goes either way, but Washington has to stop the run because here's the thing: you have to let Jalen Hurts throw the ball. Jalen Hurts has not been successful in throwing the ball compared to on the ground. He averages a better rushing performance than a passing performance. So you have to let him do that because the receiving game on the Eagles thus far in the playoffs has been pretty lackluster, if you ask me.
Yeah.
No one's really getting up there in the 100-yard club. More 2 touchdowns, 1 touchdown. Guys like De'Ami Brown and Terry McLaurin are doing it because Jaden Daniels opens up the pass game. Jaden Daniels opens up the pass game, but Jalen Hurts doesn't open up the pass game. It's usually a rushing attack, and you can't stop it. But I don't know. This is a team that has done exceptionally well thus far. I could easily see the Commanders stopping it, and like who knows what we see with the Jalen Hurts pass game. But I don't know. I feel like the strength of the Eagles is the run game, and the Commanders haven't really contained it well enough this season so far. That's just my opinion. I mean,
Yeah, I think it could go either way. I don't think they haven't been top of the league of it, certainly. So you could say whatever you want about that. I'm not going to get too mad. The thing I will say though is you gotta let. Yeah, I think you referenced this. You gotta let Jalen Hurts throw the ball if you're the Commanders. You gotta let him try to make something happen with his arm. You can't just let it. You can't make him run, make Saquon run. That's a recipe for disaster. And I get a little bit of Jalen Hurts if you want to force him out of the pocket, flush him out of the pocket, because he did say he might be wearing a knee brace. And he does. I don't know. I think the concussion, I don't think it's like fully gone yet. I know it's been about a month since it happened, but it's not going to be fully away because he did come back really fast. But if you're trying to flush him out of the pocket, yeah, I'm good with that. But you can't really like you can't make him run and you can't make Saquon run. That's just not the recipe to win if you
no,
want to go to the Super Bowl.
no, that isn't the recipe. I mean, Saquon Barkley is the glue that holds this offense together. Vic Fangio is essentially the glue that holds the defense together.
Uh-huh.
The whole thing has to come together for Philly. If you want to go back, because last time you had it, you had the lead in the Super Bowl and you blew it. That's what happened.
No.
Like everyone's gonna say, "Oh, James Bradbury was holding Juju Smith-Schuster." Oh, James Bradbury wasn't holding him. Well, regardless, you blew a lead and you lost the game. Enough. So now here we are again. This time you bounced back from the disaster last year that you got destroyed in Tampa in the wild card. Now you're here, NFC Championship again. The last time we were here, you beat the San Francisco 49ers. You beat an injured quarter. You injured Brock Purdy, and you destroyed them. Now, Jaden Daniels comes to town. Another young quarterback. I mean, the Eagles love playing young quarterbacks in the NFC Championship game. But, I feel like the offense of the Commanders is strong enough to beat the Eagles. But I don't know. It's a tough call because it's going to come down to the final 3 minutes, and it's going to go back and forth, and someone's going to mess up in the oddest way possible. And it's typical NFC Championship football. Someone's going to mess up at the right when it
Yep.
happens. It's going to be like the Ravens game. It's going to be like
Yep.
Mark Andrews dropping the 2-point conversion. Someone's going to do that, and everyone's going to be looking at that and be like, "Oh, there's the game."
Yep.
That's what's going to happen. But I feel like the Commanders cannot be on that side of the coin, 1,000%.
I think it's more plausible and more defendable if the Commanders are on the wrong side of that coin because they weren't expected to be here. They're not expected to go to the Super Bowl. They have the
Exactly.
longest odds to win the Super Bowl out of the last 4 teams. And for the Eagles, they have to win the Super Bowl with Saquon because they went to the Super Bowl a couple years ago with Kenneth Gainwell as their running back. So they've got to improve after making a splash like that. And like I said before, this game is going to come down to the last drive. It's going to come down to one of the last plays. Who wants it more? Who's going to make the big play that's going to send their team to the championship? And who's going to make the play That sends their team home. All right, let's get to the big game that everybody's going to talk about. And this is it's a storied rivalry at this point. It's going to be a thriller. I think almost 100%. The Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium. I'll go first on this one. You went first last time. I think this is the year. The Chiefs' offense has been a little bit lackluster this year. Travis Kelce's getting a little older. He hasn't had the same production as in years past. Patrick Mahomes looks good, I'll give you that, and their defense is pretty good. But the rest of the Chiefs' offense, I mean, Isaiah Pacheco is supposed to be a top of the line running back. He didn't do anything last week. It was Kareem Hunt running the show from the backfield. I think this is the year. The Bills' offense, I don't know if it's ever been this good if you look at the years with Stephon Diggs, if you look at the years with Cole Beasley. I think this is the best offense they've had, and I think their defense will do enough to stop Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Here we go again. Episode 4, ladies and gentlemen. Patrick Mahomes versus Josh Allen. But this time, Patrick Mahomes is home again. But it's the year. It's the year. Like, why wasn't it the year last year? Why wasn't it the year before last year?
Last year, because Tyler Bass missed a field goal.
Okay. Like, Tyler Bass missed a field goal.
Those happen.
Those happen.
But
that could have been prevented. That could have been prevented.
And you know what? Tyler Bass feels absolutely gutted, like Mark Andrews felt after dropping.
He knows. He knows what happened. He's walking into Arrowhead knowing.
Yeah, he knows what happened. He knows what time it is, and he's gonna be ready to go. Tyler Bass. I think I talked about it a couple weeks back. Maybe it was last week. I said I think the Bills are going to go to the AFC Championship, and Tyler Bass is going to right his wrong by making a game-winning field goal against the Chiefs to send the Bills to the Super Bowl.
You did say that.
I did say that.
And I mean, you know what? Before I say who's going to win this game, I will say that, we have to talk about the little zebras.
The zebras.
The zebras and their little yellow laundry on the field. Cleve Wakeman is the official for the AFC Championship game. I will say this. The Chiefs are 6-5 with him as an official.
Yep.
The Bills are 6-2 with him as an official.
Okay.
But their crew this season averages 16 penalties a game.
Yep.
If one of them sees it, they're going to call it. That's all I'm going to say. This game's going to move at a snail's pace at some points. But here's the problem. Here's the thing that the Bills cannot do. It is an unwritten rule. Patrick Mahomes cannot have the ball last.
No.
Period.
Absolutely not.
He cannot have the ball last. Period.
Nope.
You gave him 13 seconds 3 years ago. 13 seconds. And he made it work. You didn't let him. You had last licks last year, and you blew it. Sorry.
What?
Nobody cares about the one before that because the Chiefs won by 14 points. But here we are again. This is supposed to be a new era. Is it the best Buffalo Bills offense we've seen in this rivalry? Absolutely, it is the best offense we've seen in this rivalry. However, this is also the best defense we've seen in this rivalry. This is the best Chiefs defense we have seen in the last 4 years. That is 1,000% true. You cannot debate me otherwise. This is the best Chiefs defense we've seen.
100%.
But here's the problem. Bills have to do a lot more on defense than just, stop the run, force a punt. They got to do a lot more.
I don't think it's going to be that hard to stop the Chiefs running game. I think this is one of the weaker rushing attacks that Kansas City has put together.
Yeah. But they got to follow the rules. Rule number 1, don't touch Patrick Mahomes.
I think we went through these rules last week. If Patrick Mahomes is running out of bounds, you put your hands up. You say
exactly.
You put your hands up. You stay 6 feet away for social distancing, and you do not breathe on that man.
Exactly. You lay a breath on that man. There it goes. There's the flag. There's the 15-yard penalty. You cannot let that happen. But I just you cannot count out. You couldn't count out Brady in the playoffs, and now you can't count out Mahomes in the playoffs.
Wow, it's funny. It's funny you bring up Tom Brady because I actually had a part in my notes about Tom Brady. Tom Brady in his career, he went to the Super Bowl a gazillion times. He won the Super Bowl about a gazillion times.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing Tom Brady did, he let other quarterbacks get to the Super Bowl. So far, Patrick Mahomes has let Joe Burrow get to the Super Bowl. In Brady's career, he let Ben Roethlisberger get there, and he let Peyton Manning get there thrice, 3 times. This
Okay.
is the year, and it doesn't happen often, but this is one of the instances where Patrick Mahomes will let Josh Allen through. Because right now, Josh Allen to Patrick Mahomes is what Peyton Manning was to Tom Brady. That's their relationship of this era. And I think this is a Bills chance where they could really get through.
Yeah, no. Chiefs are home. Here we go again. I'm telling you, it's going to be the final play. It's going to be
It's
like
gonna
3
come down
seconds
to
in
the
the fourth.
final play, and it's gonna come down to who has the ball last. I don't know.
If you're the Buffalo Bills, you do not let this game go to overtime.
No,
Yes,
absolutely not.
even though it is playoff rules, there's a whole rule about it because of this game.
Yep.
Now, playoff rules in overtime, each team gets a possession no matter what. So if the Chiefs start with the ball and they drive down the field and score a touchdown, Buffalo gets to try to do the same thing. It's not over and done with right there. But you do not let this game go to overtime, no
No,
matter
you
what.
can't. No,
You go
that's
to
not true.
overtime, you're losing this game. I'm
Yes,
sorry, you're losing this game.
I agree. I'm
Yeah,
not gonna
Patrick
argue.
Mahomes is a different breed in overtime. He's a
Yeah,
different breed in the playoffs.
if you combine overtime Patrick Mahomes and you combine playoff Patrick Mahomes,
God.
it's like some voodoo black magic. I don't know. This is like some fully upgraded Pokemon or something. This is like Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs in the super and in overtime. That's the goat right there.
Yeah, but here's the problem. I just think that like it's easily said in the regular season that the Bills beat the Chiefs. But why does it not happen come playoff time? It's the same roster. It's nothing changes in these matchups. And when it comes postseason, regular season, it's the same exact roster, word for word, name for name.
Yep.
But I don't know. Like I just cannot count out Patrick Mahomes. I think Travis Kelce in the playoffs is 1,000 times better than Travis Kelce in the regular season. The offense needs work. You're absolutely right. The run game is lackluster. You're absolutely right. But it is just Patrick Mahomes easily gets down the field. I don't know how. He easily gets down the field.
Yeah, he does get down the field pretty easily in overtime in the fourth quarter and pretty much for the most part in the playoffs. I don't know. I think the Bills defense it's up there with some of their better defenses. Like if you compare, I don't because they never had like a real dominant defense. I don't think, right?
Not, I mean, back in the
Well, no,
'90s,
no,
yeah.
I'm saying in this like era, in this like
No,
rivalry with the
no
Chiefs.
way.
No, yeah, no. So I think this is one of the better defenses that they've had. I mean, we saw what they did to the Ravens just last week. I mean, they forced a couple fumbles, they forced a couple turnovers. I mean, Derrick Henry, they forced it. Never mind. That drop was all on Derrick Henry in the first quarter. They forced the missed conversion. They played real well against the Ravens, who are another high powered offense. This is now it's time you got to do it 2 weeks in a row. And I'm gonna add to your Chiefs point right now, where it's like they got to play a relatively easy game. They got to play a simple matchup where they won it pretty easily. Like it was a pretty close tour or pretty close game. But the Chiefs were in control the whole time. I mean, you never felt like they were gonna lose. Where you didn't really know who's gonna win that Ravens game until the very end. And I don't know. I think this is the time. I do think this is the time for the Bills though. That even though they're going to stay in tune, they're going to stay in the swing of things, and they're going to win this and go to the Super Bowl and then probably lose to the Commanders because they don't know how to win in the Super
Wow.
Bowl. That's it.
Wow. You can't even trust them in the Super Bowl because they're a curse.
Look at what happened in the '90s.
Yeah, I don't even know. That's an art that you go four in a row and you lose, you don't come back with one.
That's ridiculous.
That's an art, man. But it's the same thing. Here we are with this one. It's the third time in a row. It's
Yep.
the third time in 4 years we're here.
Yep.
We're here, and the Bills have come back with nothing.
Uh-huh.
Why are they coming back with something? It happens every time. Either it doesn't work on special teams, it doesn't work on offense, or the refs just come in and throw a flag and game over. There is like Bills have like 20 different obstacles that will hurt themselves. It's proven time and time again in this match that it's happened over and over again. Everyone's sick and tired of this matchup because we all know the outcome. I'm sorry, the outcome is what it's going to be for the last 4 years. Patrick Mahomes wins.
He does win. He wins quite a bit. And he wins in the playoffs a lot. There's not that many instances of Patrick Mahomes losing in the playoffs. I mean, there's only two that I can remember. Maybe three. Yeah, we went through him last episode. He lost to the Patriots one time. He doesn't lose much in the playoffs. But this is going to be that time. James Cook is having the best season of his career. That's another aspect that Chris Jones has to worry about. All the other guys on that front, 7 of the Chiefs have to worry about. I mean, that's an 1,000-yard rusher. That's a 15 touchdown scorer. And he went on Kay Adams' podcast today. He went on what is it? I want to get the name right. It's Up and Adams. And you know what he said? He said, "I like being the underdog." And he's the underdog in every way. There's nobody that talks about this man when you bring up the top running backs in the league. He's got to be top 5, right? I mean, I don't know. You got Saquon and Derrick Henry. I mean, he's right up there with the best of them. And then you got Amari Cooper. I would take Amari Cooper over some of those Stephon Diggs years that the Bills have had. I mean, especially last year when his relationship with Josh Allen was punctured. So I'm taking Amari Cooper. I would take Amari Cooper there. Josh Allen is Josh Allen. I think he's the MVP of this whole league. He's never done that before. And you could call that the best season of his career. He's made so much history this year. And then I think Sean McDermott has had a pretty good year too. One of his better years as head coach. I mean, obviously you're going up against Steve Spagnuolo and Andy Reid on the other side, so it's quite difficult to beat that combination. But Sean McDermott has been a good coach this year. And I don't know. I just feel like there's a real good chance that the Buffalo Bills can come away with a win here.
Honestly, I hope so at that point. I'm sick of this rivalry, dude. Like, it's long.
Yeah.
It's enough.
We need the Bills to get over the hump just so it can continue and be a little bit more even.
Exactly.
Right now it's what, 3-0. If it goes to 3-1, then we can talk about
say
it.
something.
Because right now it's not a rivalry. The Chiefs just win every time.
Exactly. It's not a rivalry. It's just a one-sided affair here. But like, here's the thing: if the Bills win, we're gonna have to. Oh God! If the Bills win, we're gonna have to hear for the next 10 million years. Oh, we were screwed. Oh, poor us. He was holding our King Patrick. Oh, poor. I don't even want to hear that. Like, at this point, I don't know. The Bills are good. Amari Cooper really needs to step up. You mentioned his name. Yep. Amari Cooper, 0 in the divisional round. 0. Where was he? Nowhere.
He's going to bounce back. I mean, we saw it with Jeremiah Smith in the college football playoff. He was locked up by Texas in the semifinal game. He was all over the place in that CFP final. He was all over the place in the national championship.
This is college.
I know. I'm just saying.
This is the real world. Amari Cooper has been quiet. Josh Allen's not giving him the ball. Josh Allen needs to pass the ball. I'm telling you why, because the Chiefs secondary is a lot weaker than the Chiefs front seven. 1,000%. James Cook is going to have a harder time than Amari Cooper is getting open. I will say that. But, I feel like it's just Steve Spagnuolo has proven it time and time again. Like, yes, these games are low scoring, but you credit the defense more because the defense puts your offense back on the field for more opportunities. And you know what? If Patrick Mahomes couldn't capitalize on those opportunities, the defense did. They got them the ball. They drove down the field. They scored. Sure, they beat the Texans. Okay. And you won a playoff game. That's a start. At the end of
Yep.
the day, it's a start. Now we're here again. You know how to beat this team. You've done it 3 times. You know how to beat them.
Yes, you do.
So, in sight of that, Steve Spagnuolo has been the defensive coordinator all 3 times. Patrick Mahomes has been the quarterback all 3 times. Andy Reid has been there all 3 times. Consistency, consistency, consistency. It is the same team dynamic since Patrick Mahomes got there. And now it's potentially shaping up to be a three-peat. And that's crazy enough to say. Like, at the end of the day, everyone hates Patrick Mahomes because he wins. But you know what? It's amazing to me that a quarterback can do that 3 times in a row, to make the Super Bowl and win it 3 times in a row. But, I just think the Chiefs are the better team, and they've proven that in this rivalry. They've been proving that every time they're in the playoffs. I'm not going to say they've proved that all season. Let's get that right. Their hand has been held in many, many games. Their hand has been held in many games this season. But you know what? Other than that, it's been pretty much a consistent team throughout the playoffs, and it's an unstoppable force.
They have been an unstoppable force in the playoffs. They have been unbeatable once you get to this part of the year. Once you get to the last couple weeks of the season, they have been a force. They have been unstoppable. Nobody has been able to beat them recently. But I think this is the year. I mean, Josh Allen. I mean, we talked about how they had as good a chance of doing it last year as they'll ever have. I think this year they have a better chance. I know they're not at home, but their offense is better, their defense is better, and the Chiefs' offense is not as good. I know their defense is a lot better. But on paper, I think the Bills match up with the Chiefs really well this year. And I don't know. The Chiefs have had problems. I mean, everybody's talked about it, where Chiefs have only won 1-score games. I know they've been winning those games, but once you get to a team as good as the Bills are, once you get to a team with a quarterback like Josh Allen, it's a lot harder to win 1-score games. And they found that out earlier this year when they lost to the Chiefs.
Yeah, but then again, regular season Bills are better than the regular season Chiefs.
Yeah.
The Chiefs, when they get to the postseason, they can be the 7th seed and barely get in. They can win 9 games next year, and they will still be in the AFC Championship game because that is how good they are. Period. That's it. That is how good they are. They find a way to win every single time in the playoffs. It's not like, we've had help. No, you have played competitive teams year in and year out, and now you're playing the Bills for the 4th time. You know their game plan, and I just don't see it. I mean, Josh Allen's a great quarterback. Josh Allen has proven it time and time again that he's one of the better quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback in the NFL right now. I mean, I don't know. The offense to me in Buffalo needs to open up a little bit because the Chiefs defense is coming and they're ready.
The Bills are ready to go. I'll tell you that. The Bills are going to be ready. They're going to come out with a vengeance as they have every year. It's going to be, can they sustain that level of play all the way through the game? Can they sustain the level of play that will beat the Kansas City Chiefs from the opening kickoff to the final whistle and send themselves to Super Bowl 58 in New Orleans? That's the big question. That's the $1 million question. And we'll see this Sunday. All right, that's going to do it for this episode. If you enjoyed, please consider liking, following, subscribing, commenting down below, sharing it. But for now, I'm Ben Ballion, and that's Jayson Lee. And you listen to Chasing Victory with Ben Ballion and Jayson Lee.